Power Hour with John Lee.
The House of Saud. Saud. Where does that come from? Right. Late 19th century, early 20th century, there's a guy called Ibn Saud. I-B-N. Ibn Saud. He's got a much longer name, but that was known as Ibn Saud. And he was another hard case, and he was going around the Arabian Peninsula. It wasn't even really a country then, kicking the shit out of all the other tribes. And he united the tribes under his banner, basically under his flag. And he got the support of the Wahhabis. Who were they? They are people who follow the teachings of a cleric called Wahhab from a couple of hundred years before, who was preaching that everybody really needs to live the way Muhammad lived over 1,000 years ago. So ultra basic, and so that was, they weren't really flexible on that, the Wahhabis. That's the way you have to live. But it's strange because that is not the way the Sauds live. So that is an interesting statistic in itself, that it's the only country in the world named after a family. So it's Saudi Arabia because it's named after the family Saud. It's like calling England Windsor, England. It's Saudi Arabia for that reason, because of the Saud family. And so Ibn Saud, with the help of these ultra extreme Wahhabis, he takes control of the whole peninsula. And oil is being discovered at this time. So, of course, the Americans turn up. Roosevelt goes over there. They have a meeting on a boat. Roosevelt's in his wheelchair. And they had a good time together. And basically the deal was this. You let us mine for oil. You'll get your cut. You'll get rich. You'll get, whatever, 1% of whatever we make. And we'll defend your country militarily. Because they didn't have a standing army or an air force or whatever. So that was the deal they made. But they didn't realise how much oil was going to come out of Saudi Arabia. So the Sauds became unbelievably rich. Nobody knows how much money they've really got. And it's a monarchy, but it's a dictatorship. And it's a brutal dictatorship. It's one of the most brutal, if not the most brutal and oppressive dictatorships in the world. And it's often accused of all kinds of human rights abuses, sponsoring terrorism, spreading Islamic fundamentalism all over the world, which the Sauds obviously don't believe in, because they live in big palaces and drive massive Bentleys and all that. But that is the money, a lot of the money that is generated in Saudi Arabia is used to fund the Wahhabis, who open mosques all over the world preaching the hard-line, ultra strong Islamic message, which is often a message of hate, unfortunately. And so America created that situation, and they did it for money, the same as they did in Iran and the same as they did in Iraq. So when you look at the situations in Iran, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, those are three big countries in the world, and especially in that region. And they're all in the condition that they're in now because of the Americans, and they hate America. Well, American people probably not, but America as an entity for very good reasons, and that's why Osama bin Laden was so anti-America, because when the American troops went in the First World War and parked their asses there in Saudi Arabia, they wouldn't leave. They refused to leave. And that was Osama bin Laden's big rallying cry. And he was another CIA agent. He was trained in Afghanistan to fight against the Russians, which he did in Mujahideen, which then became Al-Qaeda. So all this is not, I'm not suggesting that there are people in America who wanted to create the situation that we've got. I'm saying that there were different people at different times wanting money and other kinds of benefits, and they went stomping around in a part of the world that they do not understand, that is ancient and full of people with their own identities and religions and traditions and all that, and just said, no, bollocks, you're having democracy because we're better than you. And I don't see the difference between spreading Christianity with swords, like in the Crusades, and spreading democracy with bombs. I don't see how the latter can be better than the former. It's exactly the same. It's just you're having my ideology, or I'm going to just bomb you until you do. Or in the old days, I'll just keep running through your towns and chopping everyone up until you accept that my ideas are better than yours. Simple. So those are the ones created by the USA, not the only ones, but the ones I'm talking about that are big and present in the world today. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the heavy stuff and look at another one that is a Muslim state, but is in no way comparable with the Wahhabis, for example, or the Taliban. They're not extreme in that way, just like they're extreme Christians, extreme Jews, whatever. So in Turkmenistan, so you've got, these are there's Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, Borat country, and Uzbekistan. And these were formerly part of the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union. And when it was the Soviet Union, the Russians took a guy and they put him in charge of that area of the Russian Empire. And he was the boss. And then the Soviet Union collapsed. I think it's 1989, I'm going to say. They've properly collapsed. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, they had to make a country. So they made one, and they called it Turkmenistan. The Turkmen being the people of that zone. And they called it Turkmenistan, and that's the name of the country. And the politician called himself, and I'm just going to use this name, Turkmenbashi. So he became the president, but president for life. He made himself president for life. And he's been accused of all kinds of civil rights abuses and silencing political opponents and whatever you want by Amnesty International. And he was put in charge by the Russians. Why? Because he was a strong man. They just put brutal people, ruthless people in charge of these areas of their empire and say, control that. The Romans did it. It's not a new trick. So the Russians did it as well, and that's what you got there. You got Turkmenbashi. But what's so funny about Turkmenbashi, he's dead now, but he was a dictator about 10 years ago. And he had a tremendous ego, but to the point of being really, really funny. He's got like gold statues of himself with a cape like Superman, and this statue revolves all day, so it's in perfect alignment with the sun. So it shines all day on his own statue. He's got statues of himself all over the place. He wrote a book called Runama, which is obligatory, must be read, even to pass your driving test. You have to pass a test on this stupid book that he wrote. He's got a big statue of the book that he wrote. He's got statues of his parents and his brothers and sisters all over the place. His image is everywhere you go. Turkmenbashi, smiling everywhere you go. And the people don't look oppressed. Maybe they don't know they're oppressed. But maybe they don't want democracy. Maybe they don't want capitalism. Maybe they're happy the way they are. They've been like that for thousands of years, and we should just leave them alone. I don't know, really, because I've never been to Turkmenistan, but it's not a comparable country with others that you can look at where people like Saudi Arabia, where it's really brutal oppression. But yeah, they just kind of left that there with Turkmenbashi. And he's banned makeup, for example, because the women in Turkmenistan are so beautiful, they don't need makeup. A lot of crazy stuff like that.